Hi, bishes.
Hey.
Hi. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I am Rin,
And I'm Rue.
and this is a bish dish.
Yeah.
All
What she
right.
said.
Yeah, exactly what I said. Welcome, Miss Bish Dish. This is our new theme song. Just kidding. I'm in a silly mood today, but I'm feeling kind of good. I was just sick for a little bit. It was like that heavy, icky, fatiguey kind of sick, but I am feeling
Yeesh.
better. Oh, yeah, I know. I know. And as I was lying in bed sick, your mind does the thing to where it, like, thinks about everything, like all your cringe moments and all your like good moments, and it really got me thinking about self-worth, what it is, and what it means for us. So I thought that'd be a very amazing topic to cover. This was one that we originally wanted to be our first episode, but we had other plans and we meant to do this episode for a while, but it didn't feel right until today, at least for me.
Yeah, we didn't feel like we were in the right headspace
Yeah.
to be able to preach self-worth to everyone else when our self-worth wasn't the highest at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll get into the different kinds of things that affect self-worth, but where I'm sitting right now, I feel like I am in the proper place, clear of mind, and ready to get into it. Yeah. I don't know.
Get into it.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I think the sickness like corrupted my brain a little bit, and I am full silly today.
I'm in a silly goofy mood.
Yeah, silly goofy. So I wanted to ask you, Rue, how would you define self-worth?
Self-worth to me is knowing, it's I feel like it's a pretty self-explanatory thing. It's like knowing, your worth, knowing when to walk away from bad situations, knowing you deserve more than what you're being handed, and doing the things that feel right to you in your day-to-day life
Right.
that make you feel better about yourself.
Okay. That's pretty good. How do we or how do you define self-worth? Like what gets to define our worth?
I think ourselves.
Exactly. It's in the name too. So it's a double meaning, at least for me. Self worth is the worth of yourself. And we get to define it being ourselves what we're worth. This is something that, and it shouldn't have been, but like in my mid 20s, it was like a breakthrough moment that I realized this. Like, I am the one controlling my own worth. And I feel like each of us choose different aspects to define our worth, right? For some, our worth is what we can do in our career ambitiously. In my like late teens, it's gross, but I defined it by how I looked and how tiny I was, right? The less weight I had, the more I was worth. And then going into like early to mid 20s, I defined myself by how others thought of me. Very early 20s, it was like what I was thought of romantically or attractively. And then in my mid like 20s, I defined it by how other women thought of me. I was in a place of I didn't have community, I didn't have family, and I really wanted female friendships and connections. So I put it in their hands. And it wasn't until my late 20s that I realized no, I get to choose. The worth is in my hands completely. By 25, I was starting to understand. Like self worth, I define. But it wasn't until my late 20s to where I took action on it. I actually truly believed it and believed I was in control. So then it comes to, all right, it's in our hands. We get to choose and what we truly believe to navigate our worth, right? The person who is seeking ambition and higher levels in their job, they start to stack on, like, okay, if I get this promotion, I'll be worth more. They get the promotion and they still don't feel much different. So they put another goal. Okay, if I make this much money, and then they get there, and then it's still empty. We need to realize that there's so much about us that that is worthy. And I feel like a lot of the times our self-esteem is low. We focus on these things that aren't really seen by the outside world. And even when we're feeling our lowest, right? There's worth in us that other people are taking and seeing, right? We might be in a depressed state and our brains are fogged by all the things that are weighing us down and we feel really small. But then maybe we laugh and smile and tell a joke to somebody who loves us, and they are taking brightness that we're not feeling, but they can see, and it is uplifting them. So everybody has worth. I think our worth is being authentically ourselves, flaws and, beautiful abilities all at the same time. Our authentic selves is our worth and how true we're being to that path. That's our worth because that's when we feel the most confident. That's when we feel the most at peace, when we have completely accepted ourselves. So, Rue, right now, what do you feel like you're defining your worth by?
I think making other people happy and cheering them up and being there for them.
Let me just ask you real quick. So let's say the house is under turmoil for outside reasons, something that has nothing to do with you, and everybody's a little weighed down, right? Everybody in the house, your roommates, they have emotional distress. And then in turn, their parenting is a little rougher because they're so stressed. And there's not much you can do to pull them out of that. Do you then feel worth less?
No, because I know that I tried to brighten up the situation, and that's all that matters for me. It's not the success of what I'm doing, it's the fact that I'm trying my hardest.
So it sounds like an authentic part of you, like one of your best tools in life, and what defines you is bringing other people comfort and happiness.
Mhm.
So I would say you're already on your path, you understand this. Is there anything else that affects your feeling of worth?
Nothing that I think is really healthy.
Right. Let's talk about those.
Well, I have a bad problem with defining my self-worth online as well. Like, if I don't get enough likes on a post or, like, retweets or, like, viewers when I'm streaming, then, that gets me down. That's always been a problem since, like, high school, since
Mm.
I've been on social media. Social media is a big fuckery in general.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I've been watching tons of documentaries that mention, how we tend to define ourselves by likes and by just letting the internet affirm who we are. I grew up in an age where that wasn't so much a reality. Like MySpace started getting popular, but we did things different back then. Like we had a ranking system. We can put our friends
Yeah.
right, and we get to rank them, which is crazy. But, like, more than likes and, like, that kind of thing. That was kind of in, our high school feelings. Like, that's what we let bring worth to us, at least in, like, friend groups. But it wasn't until, like, more recently that it became, like, a huge factor. Like, the internet really gets to give us all those chemicals that make us feel good. So then without them, people tend to feel more out of sorts and low.
Yeah.
Have you been able to detach with that knowledge of knowing that's something that controls your sense of self? Have you been able to detach from that or
A
find
little
moments?
bit.
of detachment? Sorry, go ahead.
I have a little bit, like, well, for starters, when I'm streaming, I don't look at my view count anymore.
Mhm.
I don't focus on it.
That's good.
Because when I first started streaming, I was a really scuffed streamer, and I used my phone to look at the chat, and when you use your phone to look at a chat, when you're watching a stream, you can see the viewers just right there. You can even click on it and list everyone who's watching. And then I started streaming with my second monitor, and while I had OBS pulled up, like, I couldn't see the viewers, like, I didn't have that, like, you would have to add that as, like, a widget, and I didn't want to. So I didn't. And so, yeah, that helped me stop looking at the viewers. On social media, I don't really post anything anymore. That, I don't get on Twitter or X or whatever, and, like, I get on, like, Facebook sometimes, and I share a bunch of things and then I leave until I'm ready to share a bunch of things again. So, I am very, disconnected from that now because I just don't care anymore.
And with that not caring anymore and not looking at who's in your stream, has that boosted your confidence?
Yeah, I just feel better. I think, I feel like life is a very healthy balance of not caring and caring.
Oh,
Like,
man,
caring
yeah.
about the right things, not caring about the right things.
I
Balance, you know?
I want that idea put on a T-shirt. Like, life is a heavy balance of not giving a shit and sometimes giving a shit.
Yeah. It
For
just has to
sure.
be about the right things. You
The
gotta
right
not care
shit.
about the right things. Yeah. You gotta not care about the right shit, and you gotta care about the right shit.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I feel like that has recently been a big factor in my life. I was struggling with the job that I was putting my self-worth invested in, but they didn't really see my worth. And I had to come to terms with I'm wasting my time. I should focus on my family. I should put my worth there because at the end of the day, I'm easily replaceable in my job. They proved it, you know? Didn't skip a beat when I left. But with my family, I'm irreplaceable, you know? I am fundamentally important to them. So, yeah, I had to realize that's where I should be giving a shit. And I did, and I feel so much better for it. And I feel closer to my highest self for it because I've been able to refine myself and put more effort and attention into my passions and really realize the things in my life that make me feel like me and bring them forefront in my life rather than like things I kind of sometimes pick up when I can when I'm on my day off and I'm not as tired, you know?
Yeah, I get that. And I also feel like, thinking about how many likes you get on a post, letting that determine your self-worth, that's kinda cuckoo, It's kinda crazy. Because nobody's gonna come up to you and be like you're like, "Let's be friends," and they're like, "How many likes do you get?" I
Right.
mean, there are superficial people out there, but those aren't people you wanna be friends with anyways.
Yep.
But then I started thinking about, streaming, and, a lot of things to do with streaming is based on those numbers. Like, if you wanna get a sponsor where you actually get paid good money, you have to have a certain amount of viewers and stuff like that. So I
And
don't
same
really
for
know.
podcasting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't really know how to deal with that part of it because I just thought of it just now. But yeah, for right now, I feel like you can tell people who are authentic and people who are just in it for money and sponsors and fame and stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's really important. So I try not to worry myself with that just because if it's meant to happen, it'll happen.
The way I see it is the people worthy of seeing your content, the people who actually enjoy it, it takes time to find those people, but put in the right time and you're gonna find your community. That's what we're trying to do here on Bish Dish. We realize it might take some time and elbow grease, but the people who want to hear our content and appreciate our content, they find us with time. And I do see like the struggle that you could have emotionally in thinking, "Oh my gosh, like the likes and the follows and the subscribers, they matter because I'll find my people quicker." But I feel like the door comes when it's ready, when you're ready. Like your entry, you know, it will come, but you have to believe that you're worthy and move as if the opportunity has already come. Gain that confidence. Address the people who are watching you and appreciate them. I have great faith. I do.
Yeah. It just takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. I mean, there was a streamer that didn't really get popular until COVID. Because that's the thing, like, a lot of streamers now, and not to discredit any of their work or, like, streamers, podcasters, content creators, any of those. During 2020, everyone skyrocketed. So
Yep.
there's a streamer who had been streaming for, like, 10 years, and she had a community, but she didn't really start popping off the way she is now since everyone was bored at home looking for people to
Mhm.
watch, things to listen to.
Yeah. Yeah, and I get that because she probably had time to put more effort and, just be there more for
Mhm,
her following and making content, and everybody else, they had the time to put the effort into seeking people that they could relate to. And that goes directly towards the whole concept that what you water, what you put time in is what grows.
mhm,
Truly.
yeah. Things don't just happen. Like, you'll hear
Mhm.
any content creator talk about how they got to where they are now, and it was kind of like it's a mix of luck and, hard work. I feel like it's like a 50-50 thing. Maybe like a 60-40.
You know, it's interesting the way I think about luck because I don't really define it or see it as other people do. Like, I don't believe in coincidences. I don't really believe in luck. What I believe is luck is more of the universe handing to you what you deserve, in a time you don't expect.
Mhm,
It's like a gift. It's like, "Hey, I see you. I see your effort. Here you go. You've done this consistently, or you deserve this." Kinda like in the Hunger Games when you would get, like, I don't know, sponsors or whatever they call it, and, packages would drop. I feel like that's kind of the universe dropping us a package for survival, you know?
So, what do you think are some other ways that people find their self-worth through?
I feel like for the most part, for a lot of people, especially young people, it's sad and untrue things, you know? They define themselves and let certain aspects of the idea of the worth of self control them and define them in self-destructive ways. Like I said, for me, when I was younger, it was what other people thought. And that made me so small. I almost attempted suicide because of it. And weight was a big thing. And I feel like it's true for almost everybody who has EDs, eating disorders. That's kind of the concept. That's what controls us. Because when you have an ED, it's usually about how small you are for some eating disorders. So I feel like to really see what we're worth and let ourselves grow to where we authentically need to be, it's a matter of really thinking about, hey, so what do I let control my life? Am I in control? Because once you become fully in control and you realize the things that are controlling you that shouldn't be, you start to see what direction you want to revert to. And I feel like we go more on our authentic path when we can find, maybe it's vices or maybe it's a faulty way of thinking about ourselves. But there's good things that we should be focusing on, and we should put less weight really in the concept of self-worth. And I know that might be controversial, but if we would stop trying to put value on our being and we could just be in the moment, there's no weight there. There is no weight at all. And that allows us more confidence. And when we have that confidence, we can truly shine as ourselves and bring ourselves all these things we wanted. Like, that career driven person gets her career. She's able to shine through because she's not worried about what that executive is thinking about her. She's not worried about this, that, and the other. She's just there. She decides where she wants to put her time and her effort, and she's there. And she's not worried. So then she gets to take that effort that she wouldn't have in that worrying because she was putting her energy there into, you know, doing incredibly in her job because she has that extra energy. And like this idea of manifestation is truly us putting our energy, our clean, positive, essential to ourself energy out into the world, and it's bringing us back, what we deserve. What do you think your life would be like, Rue, if you no longer worried about worth?
I don't know.
When you think about
I
self
feel like
worth, do you define it by the energy you give to others or the energy you give yourself?
I don't know because I feel like helping people, because that's like
Yeah,
where
that's
I
part of
get
your
most of
authentic
mine
path.
from.
Right.
Like, in term, it makes me feel good.
Right.
And I feel like that's where that comes from. So maybe I guess me. But do you think that's like a selfish way of thinking about it? Like, do you think that maybe unconscious, like in the back of my mind, I'm only doing it to make myself feel good?
Not at all. Because what makes you feel good is making others feel good. That's, to me, a part of your authentic path. So, no, not at all. That's where you want to put your energy, and that's a good thing. That's a selfless thing. But I do wonder what happens when your BPD kicks in and you feel like you don't have a lot to give at the moment. When you feel like you want to more isolate yourself away from, the ability to give. What happens there with your feelings of self worth?
Since I've been more self-aware, I don't really think there's been a time when I was at my lowest and unable to put that aside and help somebody else.
That's beautiful. That really is. That shows that you have definitely grown. But before you hit this level of being more self aware, did it affect your worth back then when you did want to isolate yourself?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, because it would get into that train of thought of like, I can't even be a good friend to people
Mm hmm.
and I can't help them.
Mm hmm.
And what is the point? If I'm not helping someone, what is my point of being alive? And then it would get to the point where I would be,
Yeah.
wanting to commit suicide. So, yeah,
I've heard that one before. I like that.
suicide. So, I guess, like, yeah, back then, it would that would be a very dark time for me because a lot of the time, like, all I care about is, like, making the people around me happy. And
Mhm.
it might even be to a toxic extent because I have a very well reputation amongst myself of putting everyone else's feelings before mine and making sure everyone else is okay before I check in on myself.
But I'm sure you've learned then in gaining the self-awareness that you have to keep your glass full to pour into others. Like, you have to invest in self-care and the things that give you more energy and peace.
That is something I'm still learning.
Oh, really?
Because, I mean, to this day, 100%, if I was, if the worst thing ever happened to me, I would still try to be there for somebody else. That's mainly because of my own struggles with myself. Like, I still feel, even though I've come so far, even my therapist was telling me, like, you have grown so much since when I started with you last year. Like, you are so much more self aware. You have so much more confidence. You're so much more motivated and, like, yeah, I see that, I really do, but, there's always work to be done.
Oh, yeah, always. And I feel like the more we invest in ourselves, the more we're worth, right? That's a concept that's not hard to grasp that a lot of us don't realize until later on in our lives. That to be worth anything, there has to be investment. So a lot of us put that investment and put it in another place. Like, oh, I'm going to invest in this and I'm going to only focus on this. And then they're completely drained. And the worth of their work, of whatever they're doing, is less because they put everything over there and nothing inside themselves. So I think, like a gas tank, what we put in is what we have to give out. And that's one
Mhm.
thing a lot of us are still on the pathways of learning and understanding and realizing that you got to put it into yourself. You have to, or
Yeah.
else there's not much to give out into the world.
And I've actually learned something recently that I want to talk about for a minute. This is calling out to all of my manic baddies.
All right, we're listening. Hello. I'm the
What I wanna
ambassador.
say is in the past, during my manic episodes, I would do this thing where I would want to change my entire life and be better and do better. You
All
know?
at once. Yeah. New hair color,
You
new
get the
you.
manic. Yeah,
You have the
literally.
bangs.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, but but, like, the thing is, like and this is, like, something, like I said, that I had just recently learned because I also recently went through a manic episode and wrote an entire list of things I wanted to do to change my life, habits I wanted to form, very healthy stuff, very proud of myself, pat myself on the back.
Right.
But the thing is this isn't the first time I've done this, this isn't my first rodeo, partner. I, do this constantly, and then I look at the list and I realize there's so much that needs to be done,
Right.
and then I get completely demotivated.
Yeah.
So, the advice I gave to myself this time, like, I was like, there for myself, I was like, "Look at that list. That is a great fucking list, A plus work.
Yes.
Love
Yes.
that for you. Love that for you. But don't get discouraged because you already know you can't do 50. You're only one person.
Yeah.
You can't do 100 things at once. You got to start slowly, form some habits, then go to more, get more habits. It takes a lot of time. So, yeah, if you ever get into those manic moods, and you make a whole list of things you want to accomplish, give yourself more time than you would possibly need, because
Yeah.
if you make a list that theoretically could be done in like a year, give yourself 3 years, then you'll be 2 years done early and you'll feel better.
That is such good advice. I am so proud of you. I truly am. Right, you said it's not your first rodeo, and our manic baddies, our bipolars 1 and 2, our BPD, other disorders, they have the mania. And they all of a sudden have energy. That's what mania is. You have more energy than usual. Sometimes it makes you agitated because you have too much energy, or sometimes you're just very extroverted and you're seeing things a little more clearly in some ways. So you make that list. You make all those goals. You start a project that has a lot to get into it. And then when the energy level drops, a lot of us get overwhelmed and we're like, crap, there's no possible way. And I don't believe I could do any of this. And they just throw out the list. And that brings their self assurance down, their ability to rely on themselves. And they start to see, all these lists after all these manic trips, and they're automatically out. I don't believe I could do it. But what you did, and what we should all do, is harness that energy when we have it, see what we want to do. And then when that energy level drops, you looked at it very rationally. Okay, I will put energy into these things when I can, but I am
Mhm.
always going to keep it as the goal. I'm always going to invest this energy. That's how you get places. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah. And I mean, that even happened to me, like, I, got out of my manic episode and I was working on 3 things at the list, and I tried for, like, 2 days after the manic episode, and I was like, I can't do this. Like, I really can't do this." But I didn't give up. I just took one of the things off, and I'm not focusing on it right now. I'm only focusing on the 2 things, and that's okay. It's okay to take a step back and rework what you wanna focus on.
Mhm. As long as you keep stepping forward.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. If you need to take a step back, take a break, relook at things, reroute your path, great. Just keep moving forward from there. And then you get the damn thing done. So, like, too much of us are controlled by a certain emotional and mental paralyzation that happens when our self-worth is so low that we truly, truly find the idea of doing certain things that we would love to do, that would bring us so much peace, that we feel like our true path. We think it's so out of reach that we don't move at all. And then our self-worth gets lower and lower because we're just so weighted down with fear or anxiety. I feel like fear and anxiety gets in our way a lot in life, especially when it comes to self-worth, because we let those things control us rather than our own energy. And I often feel like, okay, so me and anxiety, we're best friends. She's here with me every day. But instead of her being in front of me, blocking my pathway, I let her sit right beside me and watch what I'm doing. I'm taking control. Fear and anxiety, they can live with me. They're natural emotions. I should acknowledge that they're there. But, let one be in the back seat and the other beside me. We'll be on this ride
Yeah.
together, but I'm driving.
Yeah. Like, it gets to a point where you're like, "I am in control of my life, and not these feelings that I'm having." That
Right.
are very valid. I feel like whenever I would get in headspaces like that, like, I'm in control, like, I would just be, like, trying to get away the depression and
Mhm.
anxiety and all of that stuff and, like, being like, "You guys aren't a part of me anymore," but
No,
that's not a thing.
that's boxing up those emotions, and let me tell you, they're like jack in the boxes. They're always gonna come back up, always. So, yeah, I feel like
Mhm.
acknowledging them truly.
You know who's, like, a really I feel like is a pretty good example for, like, what we're talking about? I'm like,
I
"Our special guest, NF." No, I'm kidding. But,
I
because I keep
wish.
thinking about, the song, it's intro 3, I
Oh my
think,
gosh,
when he's
yes.
talking about burying his fear.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Mhm, for sure. You know what I was thinking of analogy wise?
What?
I was thinking about, one time me and mom went on a road trip to go see my dad who lived in PA, and it was in the middle of winter because we wanted to visit on my birthday and Christmas and stay for the holidays. I was really little at the time. I was probably like 4 or 5 years old, and like, I didn't really realize the perils of driving, especially, like, in the snow, in the middle of a snowstorm, and I was keeping myself busy by, like, dressing my Barbies up in different fashions, and while my mom was focusing on her goals to get to safety and get to where we were supposed to be, our destination, I was being, like, maybe what could be fear or anxiety, and I was, like, waving my Barbie doll in her face like she couldn't see. There was
Oh
snow.
my god.
Yes, there was snow, so maybe snow can be fear. It's fogging up, what she's saying, and then I'm anxiety, just like, "Hey."
Right? You're like, "Look, look, look."
Yeah, there's things that are gonna fog up our ability to clearly see and get to our destination, but we just gotta keep going. Push the Barbie
Mhm.
doll aside.
Take the Barbie and throw it out the window.
Tell that child to sit the fuck down. Be still. Draw. Show me later. Yeah, I NF is a beautiful writer, and he can really hone in his talent to make you feel and understand like his journey. And he's beautiful with metaphors. I loved the whole album. Mansion was a beautiful album. So
Uh-huh. I really like perspective.
That yep.
Perspective is my favorite.
Most of his albums. I say most because I haven't listened to all of them, but the ones I have heard have been so beautiful and so well written.
Yeah. Shout out to NF.
Shout out.
Please be on our podcast.
Sponsor us for your next tour. We love you. How do you feel? Like, what have you used to positively refocus your idea of self-worth?
When I'm feeling, I guess, worthless, I like to kind of do some methods that you told me to do. Like nowadays, like talk to myself
Yes.
as a friend or as a mom or
Yes.
whatever, and, see what I need and then get to the root of what's making me feel like that and then kind of rationalize it out. I don't know. I'm a very rational person. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm
Virgo.
just such and yeah, literally, I feel like fucking Joanne from Rent. Like there's no way Joanne is not a Virgo.
Yeah. No, okay. So I kind of feel like Joanne's a Capricorn, but that's just me. She, that's just me. She's always in her business best, all right? She's always commanding and kind of
Yeah.
controlling the situation.
Yeah, she looks
She's
before
buried
she
in her.
leaps.
I just feel like she's a Capricorn, but
She likes margin and discipline. She makes lists in her sleep, baby.
what do you think
Sorry.
Marine is? I feel like she's like a
Gemini.
Sagittarius or Gemini. I could see that for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, and now all of a sudden I wanna make this whole episode of
What do you
contemplating,
think what do you think Mark is?
what do you think Mark is?
Oh, fuck. Maureen also kinda radiates Scorpio energy, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Mark? Oh my god, I don't even know. What's the most boring
Okay, hold on. I don't find Mark to be boring at
You're like,
all.
"No Mark slander here."
No, I feel like in the whole musical, I resonated with Mark the most a lot of the time. I feel like he would be like a Pisces or a Cancer.
I could see Pisces.
Yeah,
He is pretty emotional. He is.
yeah.
He is. What do you think? I think Mimi's a Leo.
I kind of feel like she gives Virgo energy.
Really?
Yeah. Even
Really?
Virgos lose their way.
Yeah, but even when she had her way, like, what was her way? I don't know.
That's true.
She
Okay.
doesn't seem like a very rational she doesn't think before I mean, the whole "Out Tonight" song, is like, "Be spontaneous," and then, what's his name? Ralph? What's his name?
Whose name?
Mar
Roger?
the Roger, Ralph.
Right?
And Ralph's like, "Who do you think you are?"
Okay, first of all, Ralph is not a rock star name. Ralph is not a musician name.
Do you think
So,
Roger is?
good point.
You're like, "So anyway."
That's a good point. What do you think Roger is? Hold on, I just want to backtrack to Mimi real quick. She also gives like Sagittarius energy. But anyways,
Yeah. Roger, I could see him being a Taurus,
I thought
very
about Taurus.
antisocial.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, or even like a Leo.
But Leos are very look at me, look at me.
He wanted to be a frontman of a fucking band.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
He
You're
wanted to be
right.
famous, you know?
You're right. You're right. Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you
He
that.
wasn't hiding. Um,
Yeah.
oh gosh, what's the name? What do you think Angel was?
I think Angel could also be a Leo.
Yeah, or maybe even like a Libra.
Oh, I could see Libra. I could definitely see Libra.
Because Libras, they love with their entire heart, but they're also kind of crazy.
Yeah,
I'm
they're
not
also
saying
very
like
flirtatious.
I'm not saying like killing dogs for money crazy.
Yeah.
They're a
Why is
little.
that the level of crazy that you put on it? Like,
I want to know why. I say it's that level of, Angel killed the dog for money, she has
Oh,
them in their
that's
son.
true.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah.
But,
I
like, indirectly, you know? All she was doing was playing drums, technically.
Yeah, but she was playing drums with intention.
Drums intentionally.
Yes.
Okay, what about Collins then?
Oh my god. Collins could be a Virgo, he could be a Libra, he had a big ass heart. So,
Yeah.
all those signs, because he had the biggest ass heart. I could see him.
Oh, you know what? I could also see Roger being an Aries. He's got that fire in him.
Hmm.
Like, when they lit his songs on fire to keep warm because the electricity was off and it was Christmas Eve.
But I feel like Aries is probably what's his fucking name? The one who owned the building. Their extra.
Benjamin,
Yeah,
Benny.
Betty's the Aries.
But, like, Benny is, like, very, like, an asshole, but hmm,
I'm not saying that's how I describe an
me
Aries.
trying to me trying to just, like, not say anything bad about Benny. I hate him.
What
He's
good
not
is
great.
there to say about
He's
No,
not a great guy.
it's about perspective. Because a businessman would
Yeah,
probably understand him. So I
and
actually Go ahead.
you gotta think about what he did for Mimi as well.
Yeah.
He took her to a rehab
But
and, like,
what
paid.
intention did he have? Was it
Right.
romantic?
Probably, even though he was married.
Exactly. So even there, it's like, I don't know. But
Yeah,
like, I recently saw on Facebook one of my friends. I don't remember if this was like an original post or a repost, but it said, growing up and maturing is realizing that everybody in Rent was a bad person.
yeah. I could see that. I mean, the only person, and I guess I could see, like, controlling, but I think that was probably her worst quality, which of out of everyone else in
Oh,
Rent
Joanne.
is yeah, you already knew. Joanne will always be one of my favorite characters. But I
I
also love
agree.
Maureen just because she's so fucking out there, you know? I, like, strive to be a little bit like her. Not a lot like her
You
because
say
holy
Marine?
fuck.
Oh God.
Yeah, but, like, I just wanna be more out there.
Mm.
I don't wanna moon an entire restaurant or flirt with everyone I meet, but
Or
I
like
do wanna
make
be
out in a restaurant that,
yeah. "Hey,
yeah.
mister, she's my sister," you know? But,
What
like,
was that?
we're
What
close.
was that?
I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like when I first saw Rent and heard the soundtrack, I didn't like Joanne as much, but when I matured into adulthood, liked her a lot. I resonated with her more, you
That's
know?
how I feel. That's how I always felt. Like, I felt like that's why I was so quick to say she's a Virgo, because I feel like we just have so much in common.
I still
But
feel
I
like
could also see her Capricorn
she
because
could
I
be a
get along.
Taurus. That's kinda like the halfway mark, I feel like,
Yeah,
between
although
Virgo and Capricorn, it's Taurus.
yeah, my boyfriend's a Taurus. I've only had bad luck with
Oh my
Tauruses except for
gosh,
the one I
River
have
is a
now.
Taurus.
Oh my god.
So yeah, maybe she's a Taurus. She's girlfriend
Yeah,
goals for me anyways, so, like,
yeah.
we'll give that.
I love Joanne. Joanne is my bitch, for real.
Yeah, she's a bad bitch,
She
and she put
is.
too much self-worth into Maureen,
Oh
so
my god. Yeah, I don't get it, but did they end up together at the end? I think they did, when they found Mimi outside in the park.
I
I
don't
feel like at
remember.
the end, like, I don't think it was, like, mentioned, but I think it was, like, insinuated that they ended up together, which
I think I remember it insinuated like it could have possibly been the other way. Did they get married?
they broke up at the engagement party.
So I don't know. I don't remember. But anyways, this episode is about self-worth
I know, right?
and a little
I
bit of
can I
rent.
can talk I can talk about maybe we should have an episode on musicals.
We
We just talk about
definitely should.
musicals.
And, like, the amazing parts and the questionable parts as we grow as a society, we see like, "Oh, wow. That probably
It
wasn't."
probably shouldn't have happened that way.
But there was also, like, landmark kind of, like, ones that reflected history in a way that brings growth, like Hamilton,
Hamilton?
like Ragtime even. I don't know if you've seen that, but
No,
wow.
I'd never heard of it.
Oh my gosh. So, we have a mutual friend. I don't know how you met. I
I
don't
have
know if
no clue who that is.
let me tell you, this is gonna bring insight, actually.
Okay.
It might even be a little weird for you. Me and we'll call them
Cammy.
Cammy. That's a good one. So, me and Cammy met before they fully realized and embraced, you know, being a guy or fluid. I'm not sure which one they landed on, but and back then I was a lesbian. So we had actually met on my yearbook, which is now Meet Me, and it was totally
Ah,
different back then.
cringe. Yeah, my yearbook used to be so good.
So good. And it used to be so different. Like it was arranged like classes and like
Mhm.
it was so different. I think it even had like charity games, right? Where you play games and you
Yeah,
can
I
put
used to
certain
love to play those games. Like the
I,
skee ball one, that was my favorite.
I felt like a full-on philanthropist. But yeah, anyways, so they invited me on a date to see the musical that was being put on by their school, which is Ragtime. They went to the same school you did at some parts. Methods of
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about now. I didn't know they had a name change.
You didn't know?
No, they
They're
never pop up on my feed anymore. I don't even know if I'm actually friends with them on my account
oh, that's
that I
so
use.
sad. But
I knew
yeah,
I was yeah, okay. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
so we sat down together, and by the end of the musical, like even though in the beginning it started like kind of awkward and we were both nervous and nerves were eating us, we saw this musical, and by the end we were like crying in each other's arms. We were like sobbing. It was so moving.
That's crazy. That's one I need to look for now.
Yeah,
See if
it's
I
a
can find
good
it
one.
anywhere. So I
It's really good.
think I have a pretty good segue from musicals back into what we're originally talking about, kind
Let's
of,
go. We've been
which
on a lot
is
of side dishes today.
you wouldn't really call this a musical, but it is in a way. I've been rewatching Glee a lot recently, and all my Gleeks stand up, all my Gleeks stand up. Anyways, so there's a character. Her name is Sue. She's a mythic bitch. So Sue was talking about she got this like she has like a show on the news. It's called Sue's Corner, and at the end she's like, "That's how Sue sees it." Anyways, she was talking about how people, and this was very moving. I actually started tearing up this last time that I heard it. But she was talking about how people get discouraged because when they're trying to do something like when you first start doing something, there's always going to be a crowd of people booing at you, like booing you off the stage or like even in your own head, you know? Like they're
Right.
going to be like, you suck, boo, like tomato, tomato, tomato. But then she said, if you just keep trying, eventually those people will start cheering. And she said, and the way you keep going, the way you get past the booing and move to the cheering is you gotta realize that either way, if they're booing or they're cheering, they're just making a lot of noise.
Yeah. Yeah, for
And I don't know
sure.
why, but that was so moving to me, especially the way she worded it. She
Yeah.
worded it so much better, but, like, that was the most inspirational thing I heard her say in the entire show, first of all. Second of all, wow.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
mean, wow.
I'm gonna listen. As a sister, we we uh we sometimes have an opposing view, and we definitely don't feel the same way about Glee, but I feel like there's another musical show out there that really, really helps and guides with the whole self-worth message, and I love that quote, that's beautiful. But I feel like Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, from start to finish, is a really good depiction and message of self-worth. Alright, go on this journey with me. So, this main character, who later on is diagnosed with BPD, they spend the whole show going after one romantic venture after the other and defining themselves by how their relationship or chase is going. And when it's not going well, they are escaping into musical numbers in their mind. That is often inspired by great works of art in theater. By the end of the show, she realizes that she's been putting her energy, her worth in the wrong places. And then she realizes she always has loved musicals. Like, that's when she was doing musicals in college, that's when she felt the best about herself. So she then, by the end of the show, she takes all that time that she'd been putting into relationships, she's focusing on herself, and she's writing a musical. She writes a musical, and she feels the most at peace. That for me, whole big I love that show. I love it so much. Definitely everybody should watch it. Especially our audience. I feel like everybody would resonate unless you hate musicals, then probably not.
Did the show get canceled, like, early or something? I feel like I never hear about it. Like, other
Uh,
than from when you started talking to me about it, I
mm,
feel like I've never heard of it before.
no, it ended a while ago, but it has a lot of freaking seasons, and it's got a huge fan base.
Damn, how have I never heard I probably have heard of it before, but didn't realize.
I never
Well,
really
I
hear or see anybody talk about it either, but they got a big fan base. Seek it out, you can find them.
rolling with that, what do you feel makes like, with how writing being in musicals was her biggest thing, what do you think your biggest thing is that
I'm
makes you the happiest?
I love this question because that has been my journey of 2023. And I'm now sitting in the peaceful place because I had to figure that out. I was putting so much all my energy on work. And then when I wasn't at work, it all had to go to the family because investing with time with them has always been important to me. I had to realize that I feel like my worth has always been in helping people, sharing my story with people, being open and transparent, and trying to create a community. And I've always loved, like, I was a broadcasting major, I was a radio major, right? And like when I went to college, I was like the classic rock DJ on campus for a very small, like a radio station. And when I was doing that and pursuing that, I felt at peace and most worthy. But also, I feel the same way when I was writing or researching. When I'm with my family, I feel the most at peace. And then I realized that the things that make me feel at peace are what I should be pursuing. Because when I was doing these things, I felt the most confident, like the most worthy. So, and that's kind of how we got here, huh, Ruru? We started this podcast and we started writing a book together.
Mhm.
Um, do you feel more at peace?
It's so weird because we were not raised in a way to find such, like, solitude and, like, stuff like this, because we're both very similar in the sense of we feel our happiest when we're doing stuff like this, podcast,
Mm-hmm.
streaming, whatever, writing, but we
Yeah.
weren't raised like that, so that's kinda funny to me.
What do you mean?
Like, I don't know, like, mom wasn't really the type of person I don't really know anything that made mom happy except for, like, cigarettes and
Mm,
coffee.
yeah.
So, like, for us to kind of learn it on our owns, but both be so similar about it, you know? It's kinda crazy to me.
Yeah. When you speak in terms of like example, I almost feel like we're more driven because of what we've seen with our mother. She let depression eat her. She let her
Mhm.
self-worth spiral pit devour her. But there were these small moments, these little moments in time where she would go get a job and she'd work a little bit. And when she was working, she seemed a lot happier. But for the most part, like, she let the depression and the anxiety paralyze her and eat her alive. She loved a good government benefit. And I think that's why in adulthood, I refuse to ever be in a place where I ask the government for anything. And I
Right.
realized a lot of my drive comes from not wanting, to live by her example. Her example of life was an example of what I didn't want to be. But at the
Mhm.
same time, like, I kinda got, like, a head start, I think, even though it doesn't mean much now. I always wanted to get into broadcasting. Originally, I wanted to write and direct a TV show. When I went to college with broadcasting, radio was required as well, and I fell in love with that. In high school, when I wanted to do broadcasting or everything, for the most part, mom was, like, supportive. But she was supportive all throughout high school, but when I got to college, she's like, "Hey, so I know that you love broadcasting and I know that's what you want to do, but how about nursing?" It was like,
What?
yes, the whole half of senior year, she was like begging me to go for nursing instead. And I'm like,
Wonder why.
she told me why. So
Oh.
like I was kinda like, "No, you? Like, why? And why am I just hearing this concept now if that's what you want me to do?" She's like, "Well, for one, I think you'd be really good at it, like, you've been in the hospital a lot growing up." So she said that like that would just that I would know everything about hospitals to be successful because I was sick all the time, like, but she's like, "You saw how it works, and you have that bedside manner." I don't know what the fuck she was talking you know?
Bedside manner.
I have no I've g maybe the bedside manner thing was what turned into, like, my customer service voice, but other than that, I don't know what she was talking about, but I think it was mostly to get to this point to where she said, "Broadcasting, like, it's not a promising. You got"
Oh,
you
she
know,
she
"Your"
was like, "Think realistically," kinda thing.
Yes, exactly, and she said, "With nursing, there's always gonna be a demand for nurses. It's easier to get into, and broadcasting takes a lot of effort, and so does nursing, but you get a promise to get something out of that. You heal somebody, and you have a promised paycheck." So it was realistic, yes. But
Yeah.
yeah, that whole half of the year, she was like, "Hey, nursing, forget the broadcasting stuff, nursing." I just find it weird that, like, she praised and supported me the whole way through. I ended up being able to submit my work to, like, a small kind of film festival, and she was encouraging all through there, but, like, that last part.
Maybe she thought that you were going to, like, grow out of it and, like, you know, that's,
Well,
like, such a typical thing, like, "Oh, I wanna be an actress." "Be a doctor," kinda
right.
thing.
Yeah, but also, like, okay, so that senior year, it was a hard time for us, especially with mom and her cancer. And I did a project on how cancer and sickness affects our family. And I brought the camera in and to really vulnerable moments of our lives. And that was so good that they then put it and they submitted it to a film festival, which I came in second place in documentary types. So that really it fed my wanting, and that whole time through, mom was like, "No, like, yes, you did so good. I can't, just blowing up my head." So I had that added confidence to pursue it and the support of mom until like I don't know, more than halfway through. So she was
Yeah.
like, "Nursing, nursing, be a nurse, be a nurse." Which,
I guess I could see you kind of being a nurse.
I considered it, and it's so nurses, anybody who works in hospitals or in health, they are admirable. they put in so much of their energy, and they have to deal with, like, the saddest of scenarios and go home and live their lives, and that's amazing, that's heroic, and that's the part I don't think I could do. Like, I don't think I could see a kid die or get attached to somebody I was taking care of and then them die and not let it affect my life. Like,
Yeah.
I can't.
My best friend, I don't know if she wants me to say her real name, so we're gonna call her Tess.
Okay.
She works at a hospital in, like, the cancer wing part of it.
Ugh.
Like, it's not a wing, it's like a different
Yeah.
building.
Right, department.
Um, and she told me last time I went to stay the night at her house, we had a whole girls' night. She was telling me about this patient she had that had cancer, obviously, and they were doing really good. They were doing really, really good. And the weekend happens and she goes back to work and the girl died. And Tess was very torn up about it. And while she was going to where she was like not stationed, but where she was supposed to be that day,
Mhm.
she passed the lady's family and she was talking to them. And basically, I'm going to leave out the gory details, but they found her in the bathroom. She had thrown up everywhere, and she didn't die because of her cancer. It was very clear. And when the police got there, they asked if she had any illnesses, and they said she had cancer. And the police were like, "Okay, she died of cancer. Her cancer killed her." And they didn't even like let her like have like an autopsy or whatever it's called. So
Yeah, to see what the
yeah,
death is, the
yeah,
cause
and
of death.
I need to check in on her because after she found all that stuff out, she just had to go to her station and greet people and, "Hey, hi, how are you doing today?" Like, and she was like holding back tears. And it was so sad to hear. So she's out here doing all she can. She's calling like the morgue that the lady's being sent to and, like, being like, "Hey," like and her doctor approved it and everything. Like, she's trying to get an autopsy on this woman so that she can be marked the correct death so her family can be in peace.
Right.
And I think that's beautiful. I think a lot of people don't have that much care in them to go out of their way.
Yeah,
Like, when I was at her
wow.
house, she was like, "I'm gonna set an alarm so I can call this place really early and see if I can get a hold of them," because it was during the holidays.
Right.
So, yeah, she was trying to beat the clock to the girl's funeral, which was the follow-up weekend.
Anybody who is in the healthcare, like, line of work, I hope none of y'all ever feel like you have low self-worth because, wow.
Yeah.
Tess, she was so involved and had such a big heart that she might be the reason why, their family gets truth, which is so awesome, and that is priceless. But, like, you gotta tell me, did she think it was homicide or sewer slide?
They found her in the bathroom, and I'm pretty sure, like, she choked on her throw up
Oh,
or, like, was throwing up and, like, had a heart attack or something, like,
I
she threw
wonder.
up, she passed out, she banged her head in a way, but it was definitely, like, her charts were high, so it wasn't she wouldn't have passed away because of her cancer. It just wasn't in the cards because everything was good,
I wanna
like,
know if
medically.
I wanna know. Like, I'm such a morbid person. I wanna know, and I question everything. If the hospital doesn't want that to happen because of, like, liability, so they're kinda really pushing, like, this, "Yeah, it's cancer, she has cancer, it's cancer, it's fine." Like, I don't know if they would be liable if, like, maybe it'd be neglectful if a patient died alone in their bathroom from, like, choking. I don't know,
Mhm.
that's just
Well,
an idea.
she was living with her family, like, I think her
Oh, this was
mom
with their
found
family?
her. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why I thought
She
this was in
was
the hospital.
No, no, she was at home. She was at
Oh,
home.
that's so
That's the
sad.
thing, she wasn't even sick enough to be admitted to a hospital.
See, I was thinking she was in a hospital and, like
No.
and, like, a nurse hated her and wanted to poison her, or she took a whole bottle of pills because she had
You
cancer.
listen No, you listen to too much true crime podcasts,
I
like
do. Documentaries, they're all, like, changing my brain, like, I relate
Yeah,
everything to that. Wow.
but yeah, like, she fully like, that is definitely above her pay grade, right?
Oh, for sure.
She's not she I think she's a nurse assistant. She's not even an RN yet, like, she's in college right now,
Right.
or she's going back to college. So, like, that's definitely above her pay grade, and she's getting a hold of, her doctor and being like, "Hey, is this okay if I do this? Because I don't feel like this is right," and, you know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is so sad. How do you think mom would have treated her as a hospice nurse?
I think she woulda liked her. She's
Mom was
sassy.
kinda described to be, like, so difficult that they had to drug her about it.
Yeah, I feel like obviously, I've never seen her with her patients, but I feel like in the sense of, like, somebody getting sassy with her, she would, like, respectively be sassy back. Like, not in a way that would
Mom would have loved
offend
that.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, not in a way that, would have offended them, but, like, just like to be like, "Okay, I see you," kinda thing.
Yeah. We went on a lot of side dishes today,
Yeah, it was kinda crazy.
but I loved it. But the point is that we all have worth, and we shouldn't let the self-doubt and fear eat us alive. I feel like instead of giving fear or anxiety any attention at all, we should acknowledge that they're there and let them come with us. Don't give the energy into fighting them back. Putting them in a box. No, you acknowledge them. You say, "Hey, you want to go on a road trip? We're gonna go to success. All right, no detours. Let's go."
Yeah, definitely don't feel bad about having, like, doubt and, like, normal feelings. Like, that's something that I struggled with a lot is, like, having these very normal feelings. I always that
Yeah.
always brought my self-worth down because I was like, "Why do I feel like this?" Like, I see so many people, like, and that's a big thing, was comparing
Oh,
myself to
yes.
other people and being like, "Oh my gosh, like, they have all this and look at them and they were raised exactly how I was," like, And then I have to be like, "Bitch, they're 35. They're, like, almost 10 years older than you. They've had time. Like,
Yeah.
give yourself the time you need. Don't compare
Yes.
yourself to people. Do not compare yourself to people."
Exactly. And also don't feel bad when you need to take a break.
Yeah.
Don't let the pause then make you feel like bad for doing nothing. And so all of a sudden now you're worth nothing and you have less motivation. Like allow yourself time. You deserve it and you need it. So does your
Mhm.
family, so does your job, so does everything else in life. They need you rested and at your best so you can fully contribute what you're here to contribute, you know? You're
Don't
worth so
overwork
much.
yourself. Don't
No.
overwork yourself, bitch.
Take time. You're a star, okay? All stars take time, okay? If you got that Bahama Mama money, go and get you a cocktail or a vacation, okay? You deserve it. You deserve everything that you work for in life. Okay? So go get it, bitch.
Yeah. It's all right in front of you. You just gotta grab it.
Yes, bitch. Grab it. Grab that dish and that side dish and success.
And the
Grab it all.
cocktail.
And the cocktail.
And
Grab it
maybe an
all.
extra one for me.
Yes, and one for me, and also I'll need a second.
Yeah.
Drinks on you,
Maybe, like
bitch.
maybe, like, grab me, like, a bottomless mimosa or something, if you're feeling
Ooh.
nice. I love mimosas.
I
It's my
love
thing.
them too. I make them at home, but I make them with, like, tropical mix instead of straight OJ. Put a
Ooh.
little grenadine in there.
Dude, do you remember
Mhm.
that juice that, like, my roommate's mom and then our mom used to buy? It was, like, orange, banana, peach, strawberry, like,
Yeah, wine
it was,
coolers,
like
yeah.
no, 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 not wine coolers, it was,
The what
like,
one?
Dole juice.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I get for the mimosas.
Yeah, like, how do they fit all of that in the juice? I just don't get it, and you can taste all of them. It's like, I don't understand the sorcery, like, the witchcraft, I don't get it. I like it, I'll drink it, I don't get it.
Dole is just like a collection of wizards.
I know, right? They're over there with their pots, like,
Oh
I
my
don't know.
gosh. Oh,
Just
no.
throwing pineapples and bananas and apples and oranges and
Oh,
peaches.
no, no. Do you remember Grapples?
Yes.
What kind of fucking wizardry is that?
I know. Or the cotton candy grapes, like,
Oh,
what?
they be working overtime, those
Yeah.
wizards. Okay. On that note, on that note, you're worth so much. Okay. If your life calling is being a dull wizard, you do it. We need more mixtures. Remember, whatever your energy level is, we love you, bitch.
We never gonna stop loving you,
Bitch.
bitch.
I'm gonna go rewatch right now. Okay.